They're two happy women bringing you inspiring stories, politics, pop culture, and lifestyle hacks, all with an eye to making our communities and our country a better place to live. It's the Happy Women Podcast with your hosts, Jen Horn and Katie Gorka.
Thanks for joining us and welcome to another episode of the Happy Women Podcast. I'm Jennifer Horn.
And I'm Katie Gorka.
And lots to talk about. We have hurricanes. We are within a month of the election. We have politics running wild everywhere, election security issues, and a whole lot more. But let's start with the obvious. As we record this today, the recovery efforts are underway. Hurricane Milton hitting Florida, and not as they thought it would be, not as bad as they thought it would be. I think Ron DeSantis said something wasn't the worst case scenario, but certainly there are people who are going to be suffering. North Carolina still suffering after Hurricane Helene. And Katie, I think it's been interesting to watch this for a number of reasons. First of all, I think that the media covered Hurricane Milton as extensively as they did, and the Biden-Harris administration has been covering this as extensively as they have, is because they got caught. Hurricane Helene was horrific. The response was very slow. The media coverage was almost non-existent for weeks. And now it's like all hands on deck for Milton. But where were they for Helene? That's still one of the big questions that the people, especially in North Carolina, want to know.
It's been a really bad story for the federal government and specifically for Kamala Harris all around, because not only has it brought out the stories about FEMA being bankrupt because all their money is going to housing illegal immigrants, but there have also been these stories going around about how FEMA is not letting private rescuers get in there, that they're stopping drone flights, they're stopping helicopter flights. Look, it's always a little hard to know what's true and what isn't. And I know that there are armies of Chinese people and Russian people sitting in their, little secret office buildings, sending disinformation in to try to, weaken us and drive us against each other. But I think some of it's got to be true, right? So it's a lot of mud on Biden's face, on Kamala Harris's face, on FEMA's face. But I think it's also been kind of a good news story because people have really come together. I got to tell you, just a really tiny slice of this story, the storm actually hit Southwest Virginia really hard as well. So here in Fairfax County, we put out the word that there was going to be a U-Haul picking up supplies, going to pick it up on Saturday from our office and taking stuff down. I'm telling you, you cannot step in the door of the office now. We have been so flooded with supplies, people wanting to donate and help out. And it's just been really one of the beautiful parts of this story is the way people have helped each other, come to each other's aid, and really extraordinarily, I think, done very brave things to rescue people and come up with very innovative solutions to help people get out of dangerous and isolated situations.
That's one of the things that always amazes me when you have something that can be tragic, whether it's a man-made tragedy or a natural disaster. That's what makes me so incredibly proud to live in this country, to fight for this country every day, and to support people. We come together during times of trouble. We don't hide away. We help each other out. I've been so incredibly inspired when the federal government failed in North Carolina. Individual groups, churches, these Christian organizations just went into high gear and did such great work. And I have family in North Carolina. Thank God they're okay. I know you lived there for a while as well. This is an area that's a little different than Florida because you have so many rural pockets where it's hard to get to people in times like this, and to see what the bravery and the courage and just the ability to be there has been so incredibly good to watch. And even though we feel like our government has disappointed us, and they've totally, I think, disappointed us in their response, particularly to Helene. It's the spirit of the American people that just makes me so, so proud every single day when you see something like this.
Well, and I have to add, it really is an important lesson in the limits of government, truly, and why, as conservatives, we always argue that private solutions are better than government solutions, because governments are large, unwieldy, uncreative, hampered by all kinds of legal and bureaucratic restrictions. And I think you've never seen it more clearly than you have in the response to Helene.
Yeah, I think so too. So we will send good thoughts there. We will hope that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden get a little better at their response to disasters like this. We'll say, hey, Ron DeSantis is the king of hurricanes and Roy Cooper, not so much. But we'll move on, and we'll come back to that in a second, because we're going to be joined by someone. Tina Blanco is going to be with us a little later on in the podcast, and she's got some incredible products that are going to help you get yourself ready. It's always good, no matter where you are in the country, when something like this happens, to make sure you're ready for a bad scenario or the worst case scenario. So we'll come back to the hurricane here in a moment, but we're less than 30 days from the election. Katie, everywhere I go, I just released a voter guide for California. I do this every year. I go and research judges, and I research propositions and ballot measures. And I do it for all the counties that my morning show hits: Ventura and Orange County and LA County, Riverside, San Bernardino County. And it was a beast. We have a lot of propositions this year. But that being said, I have been asked 100 times about election security. Is the election any safer than it was in 2020? And I know you've got some information on election security that we need to know about.
The news is hitting so hard and fast. It's crazy. I actually thought that the election security news would actually really drop off as we got closer, because you figure, well, it's too close to the election for new lawsuits or new revelations or whatever. And it's the exact opposite. I am absolutely amazed. So there are a couple of stories that are, I just think it's super, super interesting. Here's one that this was actually from last week, but it's just all kind of the same thing. It's a little bit what's happening here in Virginia as well. This is the story about the fact that America First Legal announced last Thursday that they are suing the Arizona Secretary of State because he is refusing to hand over the names of 200,000 registered voters who have allegedly not provided proof of citizenship. So for many, many people, look, there are so many concerns around election security, but I think there are some that are really, really up there. One is we're hearing a lot about what's called the UOCAVA voters. These are the voters who live abroad. It can be military or civilian, who live abroad and who still get to vote. And it's just very hard to track their information. They're applying from abroad, sending their ballots from abroad. I think there's a lot of room for fraud there. But I would say I think for most people, the single biggest concern is illegal immigrants voting. Yes. And the numbers are absolutely stunning. The Heritage Foundation put out an article, Will Non-Citizen Vote Be Decisive in 7 Battleground States? And they provided some of the numbers. And when you hear these numbers, this is when you realize what a significant problem this is. So they talk about battleground states where illegal immigrants are in a very large number. Georgia alone, 787,000.
These are difference makers. What did Georgia lose by? What was it? 11,000 votes in Georgia?
Yes, it's crazy. And they have 787,000 adult non-citizens. North Carolina, 726,000. Absolutely incredible. Okay, here in Virginia, so part of why my eyes are on this is because of what we are battling with right here in Virginia. So our governor came out with an executive order, Glenn Youngkin, saying we were going to sort of beef up our election security. So a couple things happened as a result. One is 6,300 people were taken off of our voter rolls for being non-citizens. How did we know it? They were self-declared. Okay, very important. It's a part of the form at the DMV. Are you not a citizen? You check it off. I am not a citizen. So we only took off, our electoral board only removed self-declared non-citizens. Well, get this. The League of Women Voters, in air quotes, the nonpartisan League of Women Voters, so lefty, and a couple of other groups have sued the state of Virginia to put those people back on the voter rolls.
Katie,
I'm sorry, but these people declared themselves non-citizens. Why would we put them back on? It's absolutely crazy.
You always tell me that Virginia's like California. You know, we had the exact same thing happen. We have a motor voter program where illegal immigrants can get driver's licenses from the state of California. If they go through the DMV, you actually have to check a box to say that you are not a citizen, probably like you do in Virginia. If you don't, you're automatically registered to vote because voter registrations are automatic. So we had a couple of different instances where they revealed that 46,000 illegal immigrants had been registered to vote accidentally, which there was no accident about it. And those are just the ones we know about. Give me a break. That number.
I know, exactly.
But in LA County, there were 1 million names of illegal immigrants, 1 million just in LA County. Illegal immigrants, dead people, people who had moved. They were removed from the voter rolls after a lawsuit. I think it was by Judicial Watch. I don't know who it was. It could have been the League of Women Voters. It was some lefty group that sued to get every single one of those people put back on the voter rolls, dead, alive, moved, or illegal. I mean, that's the kind of craziness that we're seeing. And guess what? They were re-added to the voter rolls. They were put right back on.
Oh, my gosh.
And then you add to the danger of the scheme, and everybody in California now gets a mail-in ballot. So even if you've got 5 dead people at a house, those ballots are still going to show up in LA County. And that's where the trouble comes from, right? People who are like honest may throw them away. People who aren't, well, maybe they don't. It's really, really crazy.
Well, and I think the other reason it's such a problem is because you have the left constantly saying Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. So if you believe that someone getting elected is a threat to democracy, you're going to feel justified in breaking the law. You're going to feel that you're justified in slipping in a few extra ballots. That's what really scares me and upsets me.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that it's just a really sad state of affairs because we have so many things that we should be doing just to protect our vote. It should not be political. This should not be about Democrats or Republicans. We should not want dead people. We should not want illegal immigrants to vote. And then they muddy the waters even more. And in many blue states and cities, again, like California, to reference just what I see here at home, up in Oakland, they passed a city ordinance where illegal immigrants can vote in local municipal elections. So think about the confusion that you add now, a whole other layer where you've got illegal immigrants showing up to vote for school board. And then during a presidential year, they're saying, well, why can't I vote for president too? And dollars to donuts, they're probably getting ballots if they argue it at a polling place.
Yep. No, I think you're absolutely right. Okay. I can't end on an unhappy note though, because we just can't, because we're happy women. We got to stay happy. And I saw a story this morning that made me really, really happy because
Share me.
All right. So you know the whole issue around med school is near and dear to the Gorka family because our son, really worked so hard.
He's going to be a doctor.
He's going to be a doctor. He worked so hard to get into med school and he finally got in. So we're so excited about that. But, we've really had our eyes on what's happening in the med schools, the degree to which they've been kind of sort of corrupted by the whole DEI ideology. And I mean, the other piece of this is that, who's doing the transgender surgeries? A group has just come out with a database and they're showing over 4,000 transgender surgeries have been carried out on children in this country by hospitals. Okay, so that's all the more reason to say I was so happy to learn that there is a new pro-life hospital and med school that is being built in Howell, Michigan, which I guess is midway between, it's right in between Detroit and Lansing. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be sort of inspired or based on the model of Padre Pio. So in 1956, he called for a chain of hospitals around the world to care for the sick and suffering. And apparently this hospital is in part an answer to that call. So
I love it.
Yay.
That's really incredible. A good story. All right. I like a good story.
Volatility and uncertainty are everywhere we turn. Many Americans have grown increasingly tired of the reckless fiscal spending, mounting national debt, and the looming threat to the dollar. With never-ending political and global conflicts, Americans are looking for a way out of the fragile paper system and craving a trustworthy asset to help protect their savings. That's why they turn to gold. Specifically, a gold IRA from Augusta Precious Metals. If you have over $100,000 in a retirement account, it's time you learned about the potential benefits of a gold IRA from Augusta Precious Metals. Augusta Precious Metals is a world-class organization that prides itself on top-notch service. Ready to learn more? Get your free guide on gold IRAs today by calling 855-222-6994. Volatility is everywhere. Now is the time to take control of your retirement to secure a brighter financial future with Augusta Precious Metals. Call them at 855-222-6994 today.
We also can't end without talking, as we promised, introducing you to Tina Blanco, who is doing some incredible stuff. She is preparing people to will take control of their own security. She's got these incredible Faraday bags that are absolutely gorgeous. She's got a satellite phone. Tina Blanco, thanks so much for being with us. Welcome to the Happy Women podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, as you were saying, actually, this is like our third. I live in Sarasota. And so we had Dolly that brought in like up to 24 inches of rain. So we had a lot of floods. A lot of my employees had to leave their homes because they got flooded in the middle of the night. And then we had Helene, and then we had Milton. And just before Milton, I was just like, okay, I've already experienced two of them. I'm out of here. So I actually left the state because it really did, it was really scary looking at it, because for some reason that hurricane did not look natural to me. And I've been following hurricanes for about 20 years, and that one kind of looked pretty scary. And
we're so glad you're okay. And we're so glad that your employees are okay. One of the things that happens, whether it's fire or earthquake, we talked about the Maui disaster. A lot of times your cell service goes away, and so many people are reliant on cell service now. A lot of people have gotten rid of landlines. Landlines will even fail you. And so one thing that you can do to protect yourself is get a satellite phone. And that's exactly one of the products that you have, Tina, at sat123.com. Tell people about the benefits of having a satellite phone on their, either in their possession, at their home, at their office, in their car with them.
So currently right now, for example, with Hurricane Milton going through and then Hurricane Helene in North Carolina, the only way first responders, fire departments, and others can get to places and communicate and get emergency, whether it's food or saving a child or saving a family, was using satellite phones. So we worked really hard this past couple of weeks, getting a bunch of phones in the hands of the fire departments, for first responders, and other people that are out there helping to rescue families or bring food and water. And then of course, with Hurricane Milton the past week, we've been doing the same thing, except I think people in cities and fire departments were a little bit more prepared this time because they saw what happened with Hurricane Helene. So all the rush came in before the hurricane. So all the cities, the fire departments, the first responders, we've been slammed for the past week with people picking up hundreds and thousands of satellite phones, because they knew that once this hurricane came through, that the cell towers would actually go down. And they were right. Cell towers in most of the areas are down. In most places, I can't even communicate with my employees other than using a satellite phone. Most of the islands, Siesta Island, St. Pete, parts of Tampa, parts of Sarasota, Casey Keys, Venice, there's no cell phone service. So so the people that have satellite phones are able to go there and check out their properties and communicate with their friends and family.
I think one of the most heartbreaking stories, particularly coming out of North Carolina, has been the number of people who were found days after Helene swept through, and people were stuck up in the mountains, isolated. The roads had been washed out. They had no way to get out, and people didn't actually know that they were still up there. And I thought, what a perfect case for people to have sat phones. But I have to say, I've also always thought that sat phones were for like professionals, first responders and that kind of thing. But you put sat phones in the hands of everyday citizens, right? Like anybody can have a satellite phone.
Anybody can have a satellite phone. We've made it affordable. It is free to get. You just have to pay the service for, I think, 15 months on some of them. I think the 14th month is break-even point for us to cover the cost of the phone. They're not cheap. This phone's about $1,300. So yeah, we do give them away for free, and you just pay the service. It's about $100 a month. And so this is your cell tower. This is the cell tower. You take this with you wherever you go. As long as you're outside and you can see the sky, you are able to make a call. So nobody can take down your cell tower. Where the cell towers are on the land, they're fragile. And as we saw what happened with both hurricanes, actually all three of them did take down the cell towers that we've had come through Florida this year. And then also look what happened in Maui last year when only 2% of the island was on fire, but 99% of the cell towers were down for a very long time. And most people could only communicate by using a satellite phone.
And think about that. You can't find your family if you need help. You can't call for help. People really, I mean, I know we all love our cell phones, and I'm not trying to talk poorly about them, but a couple of things that you need in your life for emergencies: AM radio so that you can hear news updates, and these satellite phones that will actually connect you to something that will work. And they're small enough. What I love, Tina, is that they're small enough to carry with you. So you could leave it in your car. You could take it with you to your office to work. It travels with you. So God forbid, if there's something like, I live in LA, if there's an earthquake, we can't see them coming like we can a hurricane. You're always prepared, and you always have that life raft so you can get to somebody who could help you.
Right. And you have it, take it with you wherever you go, because keep in mind, cell phones work on, even when they're working, when there's no disasters or wars or anything, cell phones work on 7% of the earth. Satellite phones work on 100% of the earth.
Wow.
A lot of our customers that were visiting last year when they were visiting in Mexico, and when there was a hurricane that came through, and everybody's like, oh, go to sleep. It's only a tropical storm. And then next thing they know, 12 hours later, it became a Category 5. And a lot of our customers that had satellite phones were able to call help to get out of the city because there was a lot of looting and what have you. And so, yeah, take it with you, have it in your car, travel with it, because you never know when you're traveling, anything can happen. But, also when you go to places fun, like you go on a cruise or, you go on a boat or, hiking, camping, hunting, take it with you because it will work from anywhere on earth.
So now, when I first met you on our cruise in Alaska, our Patriot cruise that Jen and I were both there for, which was super fun. The thing that you had that I was actually really excited about too were these great Faraday bags that you have developed. Yeah, I love these. And so it seems like there's really a growing interest in these. Are you seeing the same thing? And why are people using them? It's no secret. The world's unpredictable. One moment, everything's fine, and the next, the power's out and the cell towers are down. But with a satellite phone from sat123.com, you don't have to be cut off from the world. No matter where you are or what's happening, Sat123 keeps you connected. Whether you're deep in the mountains, on the road, or dealing with a natural disaster, your satellite phone will work when nothing else does. This is about being prepared. Sat123.com is family-owned, American-built, and focused on keeping you safe. They understand that in today's world, connection is more than convenience. It's essential. So here's the deal. Go to sat123.com and use code Katie for $25 off your first purchase. Don't get caught off guard. Stay connected. Stay prepared with Sat123.
Yeah, so people are tired of being tracked, and then also for safety. I also stay in Arizona. I have a place in Arizona, and just a couple miles down, just last week there was a robbery of a car, and how they got the car key was people put their car key right next to their table or kitchen, and thieves can go close. They just need to be within 15 feet of your house. Mm-hmm. They can copy your key, and then what they're doing. A lot of people are just going into the car and robbing, stealing, or they go into the garage at night when you're asleep and they rob your house. But these particular thieves had AK-47 pointed to the house while they were stealing the truck, and then they took off with the truck. And it's so easy to copy your information from your keys. It's easy to copy your credit card and also your cell phone. So what we've done is we have made handbags for ladies that have a Faraday inside. So there's a Faraday pocket. And I believe, Katie, this is the one that you have. And it has a Faraday pocket so that anything you put in this pocket right here, I don't know if you can see it. Mm-hmm. Anything that you put in this pocket, this is a Faraday pocket. It's going to be protected from EMF, from thieves, security. So if you put your cell phone in there, then nobody can track you. So if you have a stalker or, just when you go to vote, I mean, I just don't want anybody to know where I'm going, because on January 6th, a lot of my friends that were there, they got a knock on their door. And it's like, how did they know? How did anybody know you were there? Like, I don't know. Well, you know what? It's your cell phone. Now, when you go places, when you go voting, when you go to places, put your cell phone in there and nobody can track you. And that was one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to make these.
I really want to underscore this because you've brought up several problems that people are facing. Number one, especially certain kinds of cars. I think Toyota, Kia, certain manufacturers are pretty vulnerable to people being able to scan and replicate the signal that their key fob sends out to their car. That's number one. But the cell phone data, Tina, is really, truly, I mean, it's kind of terrifying because not only do they track where you are, but then they sell that information to people who want to buy it. The way that they found the shooter at the Trump rally was by tracking cell phone data. They were able to identify him by taking all of the independent numbers that come out of everybody's cell phone and tracking it from the Trump rally to his office to his home. All of that stuff is available to not only marketers, but to anybody who wants to get their hands on it. That is terrifying, whether it is somebody who's got nefarious purposes or this is just marketing. I mean, I don't know. Technology is great, but it's a little scary at the same time. These have to be perfect, Tina, especially when you're going places like the Trump rally this weekend in Coachella. Are you going to be there?
Yeah, I'm going to his rally. I'm so excited about it. That's one of the reasons why I'm staying longer in California. Yeah, so yeah, I am really excited. So yeah, no, again, these, Faraday bags are really good to have to protect yourself from from anybody tracking you. And Katie, also, that when you go to these big tech companies, they're selling your information. Like, they know where you're going. They know that you sleep 8 hours or you stay 8 hours at your house, that you go to, which restaurants you go to, which department stores you go to. And then they try to promote to you when you turn on your electronics. They try to get you to promote other products for you to go to, and that's how they get paid a lot of money. But they never give anything to the customers. They just are always selling you. So it's always good to have your electronics in a Faraday bag, so this way you are not being tracked. Nobody's watching you, nobody's listening to you, nobody, it's good for safety, especially for the ladies.
Well, and I have to say, when I worked in the field of counterterrorism, we used to get together for meetings and everybody would have to take the batteries out of their phones. Seriously. And you don't have to do that. If you have the Faraday bag, it serves the same purpose.
And so I think it's cute. They're cute.
And I love that you've developed this for women, that you can just carry a purse and your phone can go right in there and you're protected. You're safe. I love it. It's a great, great product.
Yeah, thank you so much. And
Tina,
Go ahead.
Can I ask you one more question? Because we're almost out of time, but I do want to ask you about the backpacks because we just glossed over it. But for our moms that are listening, for people who want to have a little extra layer of protection, you've got ballistic backpacks as well that have the Faraday pocket inside.
Right. And one of the reasons why I wanted to create a backpack that had a Faraday in it, because the schools are trying to take the phones away from the children. And I don't think that the schools should make that decision. I think the parents should. And the backpack has a Faraday so that the phone will not ring in the classroom, but the children can still get the messages from their parents after school, and they can still call their parents. And it is a bulletproof so that in case they come in a line of fire, not so much in schools, just anywhere. Like if you're in a car or if you know in a mall, you just use that to protect your body when you do come in a line of fire. As long as you react, I was told by the militaries that did the testing on these backpacks that it increases your survival by quite a bit if you react and use the bulletproof products that you have.
You're amazing. You have so many wonderful things. Just to recap, the satellite phone, guys, no matter where you live, whatever your natural disaster is, we know about the cell phone outages. We haven't even talked about the possibility of an EMP attack from one of our foreign adversaries. You want to have something that will work wherever you are. That's the satellite phone. And it's available at sat123.com. Easy, sat123.com. Also, these Faraday bags are absolutely cute. They are stylish. You can get pouches for your phone. You can get laptop bags. You can get purses. You can get those backpacks. The backpacks have that ballistic bulletproof shield in them. These are amazing products. They are well made. They are incredibly stylish and great. Check them out. Darkbags.com. Darkbags.com. Protect yourself, protect your family, protect your identity and your property, and of course, yourself in times of an emergency. Sat123.com and darkbags.com. Tina Blanco, thank you so much for being with us today. We so appreciate what you're doing to keep all of us a little bit safer.
Thank you so much. And thanks again for having me. Nice to see you again, Katie. Can't wait till the next cruise.
Great. And by the way, have fun in Coachella, will you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Seeing President Trump.
Yeah.
All right. And thank you all for joining us. That's Tina Blanco, sat123.com, darkbags.com. Also, thank you so much for joining us. And we love that you are helping us make Happy Women so successful. We love when you support the people that support us. And if you could give us 5-star reviews, that helps so much with the algorithm. Of course, you can share the podcast too on all of our platforms, which are available at SalemPodcastNetwork.com. And follow Katie at Catherine Gorka. You just find her, search her out on Facebook, Gorka Katie on Twitter, get her book, Next Gen Marxism, on her website or on Amazon, katiegorka.org. And you can find me on social media too, Jennifer Horn Radio on Facebook and Instagram, and Jennifer Horn on X and on Truth Social. Thanks so much for joining us. This is another episode of the Happy Women Podcast.